I'm Robin, and welcome to a special edition of Molten Music Shenanigans. Today we are I am attempting to jam with Gaz Williams, who is over in Bristol. I'm in Norfolk. How the heck are we going to do that? Well, we're going to do that through the magic of this little box here, which I've wired in so that you can't see it. Hang on. There you go. It is the Elk Audio magic box of network superfluousness, and it is going to allow us to connect up and jam with hopefully bugger all latency. That's the plan. Now, I've done this a couple of times already up until now, and we've got it to work, so there's a bit of a spoiler for you. But there's also been issues setting up, trying to get it to do what it's supposed to do, and understanding it and learning it and all those sorts of things. So this morning we're going to give it another go. We're going to film it as much as we can and hopefully take you through the process of real live, over the internet, live, real-time jamming with another musician. We're going to do it with sort of vocals and guitar, and Gaz playing bass, presumably, because that's what he does. And we're also going to try it with a bit of modular. Now, the modular side is tricky because all there is at the moment is 2 channels in, 2 channels out of audio. It has the potential for a lot more. It has the potential for MIDI. It has the potential for all sorts of things, but currently those are not implemented. So we are going to attempt to take a clock source over the internet, out of the audio out, into my modular in order to sync the two together. It could be awesome. It could be a mess. We don't know. But we do know that these things are possible. And hopefully through the course of this video, we'll be able to demonstrate a bit of that somehow. I mean, there's no way I can capture everything. We've got some studio software over here that we communicate with. We've got this, and they've got the box. And I mean, I don't know. I'm just throwing some cameras. Oh, there's one there together, just to see if I can pick up any of this. I don't know. But anyway, so that's the plan. The box connects directly to your router, not through your computer, although you can set it up like that. But the best bet of getting low latency stuff going on is to plug this directly into your router, plug your guitars and microphones into that, and then that is taken to another box at Gaz's end, and it's those 2 things which allows for this very low latency transfer of audio data. So you've got that. You then got an app running on your computer, running in a browser, which you use to connect to one another, talk to each other. There's some video software in there, some chat software. It also sets the levels for the elk, turns that up, turns it down, specifies what it is, and allows you to get your jam on. So you start your session in there. Gaz will hopefully join to that. At the moment he's currently greyed out, which is sad, but he should be along in a minute with a bit of luck, and we'll be able to do all of it from there. I'll attempt to record everything that we do also onto my main computer so that you can hear the result. It gets very interesting because the video that you're using in the studio software is standard Zoom type video, so that is delayed. That has lots of latency involved in it, and you have the usual sort of over talking of each other. Once you switch the elk on, once you switch this thing on and start communicating through that, it's a whole different ballgame. The latency drops away. It becomes like a real conversation in a real place. But of course, it's not in sync with the video. So you use the video as a visual reference rather than the place where you have your conversation, because it all happens here in your headphones. It is quite fascinating. I mean, I feel, me and Gaz are convinced that this works. It's just not been entirely smooth yet. And so we're going to have another go, see if we can get its smoothness right, see if we can get that going, get that down, and then what we'll do, we'll come together once we've sort of built our little videos at either end on this. We'll come together and talk about it in a bit of a live stream, and that'll be fun to be able to give you a flavour and to answer questions about whether this is a viable jamming solution for people in distant places. Not too distant, mind. You know, it can only handle so far. But at the moment, we're talking about 200, 250 miles. You know, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So I'll leave that here. I'll try to get myself set up. Madness it is. Madness. I mean, that's part of it. How can you leave this permanently engaged? That's the thing. Oh, heck. I've been invited to a session. That's exciting. That's too exciting. Hey, there he is. Oh, hang on. Is he there? Oh, I've got to hold the talk back button, haven't I? Shift click. So I need that on? I don't know whether I need that on. Let's... Oh, look, there he is. Got visual, haven't got hearingness yet. I think you need to hold your talkback button.
Yes. All right, there we go. Hello.
Hello.
Wow, who's been a busy boy with the Modular? That looks really great.
Yeah?
Right, so I've got elk coming in and out of the mixer that I've got here. So my entire studio is kind of plumbed into the same mixer, so I can so I've got like a send. I'm just going to switch onto my mixer now and see if I can get some audio coming in.
One, two, 1, 2, 1, 2. I can hear myself. That's something.
You're not getting that guitar through elk, though, are you?
No, I'm not getting anything from you at the moment. I'm just monitoring myself.
Let's try and work this out.
Oh, look, there's you. So at the moment I can hear you playing guitar through my little computer, but I can't hear it through the elk. As I say, I can see my playing coming back through your end.
Yeah. So I've gone live. That's me private. No, that's me live. I wonder if should I be getting you as well? Oh, at the moment it says bridges connecting in the mixer screen.
Mine says all good to go.
Oh, right. Underneath your screen there's a green band and it says your and Robin Moulton's bridges are connecting. So I wonder if we end this session and just start a new session, maybe there's just a bit of gremlins and it might...
Okay, yeah, sure.
Okay, okay, we'll end that.
Oh yeah, it says under your video now, I can see you and Gaz Williams bridges are setting up. I mean, mine status says it's all good to go. We are experiencing server issues. Oh my goodness. Could not leave the session. Please contact support. That's weird. That looks better.
Okay. Let's have a look. Oh, it looks like It looks like we're connected now. Are you getting my guitar?
Oh. Yes! It's really interesting, the difference in the latency between what's coming through my laptop and what's coming through the Elk. It is very good. It's very, very good.
What caused that then? So before I had that green strip.
Yeah.
Even though I could see you and hear you through the camera and the talkback, the session itself never fully initiated.
Yeah, I think that might be it. See, it's really weird because I play and then I can hear myself back through my little laptop here. But I guess I can just mute that. But then I'll be able to only be able to hear you. Do you have a mic set up as well?
Oh yeah, I can. Yeah, I am.
All right, so I've turned my talkback off, and I'm submixing my guitar and my vocal into my Elk. So you're probably in my video now. My video, I'm probably looking as I'm talking. You're probably getting me slightly delayed now.
No, I'm getting the video and
the video and audio.
Yes. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But that don't matter.
Ooh, why are you so quiet? Let's try and figure out why that is. So this is my level in Elk. Testing 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Setting my levels. Can you keep playing for me, Robin, so I can just try and get them balanced? Yeah. All right.
Jammy sound. Woke up this morning, it's all around. Woke up this morning, the bin man hadn't been. Woke up this morning, don't know what I'm gonna do. Your solo. I got myself a big hairy ZZ Top beard. It only takes a few weeks to grow.
make me weird. Now I think I can play rock and roll like a blues man. But I think everybody will see through my disguise and say, you're a poo man.
That works.
Yeah, it's fun, isn't it? I mean, it is. It's definitely. It's definitely playable, isn't it? I mean, that is a key thing. So there's actually things seem a lot better than last time, don't they? This time now.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
So I'm just wondering just how much the vagaries of like net connections, you know, you could wake up one morning and your elk isn't working.
I know.
You know.
I mean, it's like the little glitch we had earlier. It's that's no good if you know, you're trying to connect with somebody. You don't want to spend an hour having to iron that out. You know.
Yeah. That's what the back of my head looks like. If I switched my switched the webcam from the built-in one to a remote one, put that in the same direction coming in, then all the cameras are coming in at the same direction. That would be good. I'm gonna have two microphones on, two large diaphragms, one that goes to elk and one that goes to the streamer. So I'm going to bring in my special guest, which is none other than Mr. Robin Vincent of Molten Music fame. Hello, Robin.
Hello, good to be here.
Yeah. So Robin's going to be making his own video as well about this experience, and so keep an eye out for that as well, because they'll give some different perspectives. But yeah, so we've both got guitars plugged in, and so you see, Robin's coming there on that second channel, and then Robin's voice is
my voice coming through this one. I mean, what strikes me immediately, Gaz, is that we're actually having a normal conversation when we usually live stream with each other.
Yeah.
You know, when you're doing some kind of thing, whether it's Sonic State or some other type conversation, you have this barrier of latency. You have this delay between, you know, talking over each other and things like this, but we're just having a regular conversation like we're in the same room.
Yeah, it's quite astonishing, really. What we should do is probably try something. Just let's actually, before we play some guitar, let's just try clapping. If we just try clapping together and see how well we can clap together.
Okay. I mustn't look at the screen.
Yeah, that's great. I mean,
so I try to follow you on the video. It doesn't work. It doesn't work because that's behind. So
and,
just do it on
no accusations of us being happy clappers either. Should we play some blues?
Absolutely. I mean, what else is there?
But there, you see, in that little jam we were just doing, it was it was really fun because it was real time playing.
Yeah,
I mean,
it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were able to meaningfully play music together. Now, this is just two of us at the moment. Currently, an elk session can support up to 5 participants, which I guess would cover quite a lot of bands. Now, that would mean, though, each member would have to not only have the elk hardware, but would have to have an elk account, which is a subscription-based thingy-bobby, which now that is a little bit of a bit of an issue, because that's going to cost, I think, is it €11.99 a month?
It was something like that.
Something like that, yeah. So
and the box, how much was that? 100.
No, I think that's €300.
Ooh, crikey.
Yeah. So the cost of entry for this is quite high. So if it's a five-piece band, you're looking at around 1,500 in initial investment just to get the hardware, and then each of the 5 members all need to have a subscription. So that's the tough bit about this. It is going to be quite expensive, but I guess you would kind of think about this. If this allows you to play music, maybe allows you to rehearse together, you could maybe cut down on your costs of rehearsals. But right now, it is important to say that the technology and where we're at with Elk is it's not, the full feature set has not fully come online yet. And once it does, I think it will start to become a little bit better value for money. Right now, I think it's just going to appeal to certain people who are looking to have a rehearsal kind of setup or a jamming setup. There is a bit of a social media aspect to it, so you could kind of find people to jam with who you don't know, and that could be quite an interesting thing. But features that are going to be coming are there's going to be like an engineering mode where you could have another person with the system who can actually make mixes for real-time streaming. Because although we're doing it now, this is, in order to facilitate this, it's taken a lot of extra equipment. I'm using my Roland video streamer, mixing desk, a lot of cables going around. So a lot of, I guess a lot of average people won't have all of that kind of setup. So in order to be able to use it for a live streaming thing, isn't quite there yet, but will be coming.
Yeah, I mean the box at the moment is like a solid stereo in and out box. So mic guitar, or you plug your piano in, or whatever. It has enough. It has enough for each person to jam along with each other. It just there's nowhere to go after that once you start thinking along the lines of what could we do
doing
with this?
like a live stream. So to do it as a live stream, yes, there are ways to do it using third party and additional hardware, but within the Elk ecosystem at the moment, that isn't something that it currently supports, but it will do, as will more inputs. There is an ADAT input on the box as well, which will give you another 8 inputs into the system, which would be quite good, especially for drummers and people who want to do multi-mic'd setups. Although I'd imagine for the rehearsal side of things, just making a stereo submix is probably the way to go anyway. But that brings me to another issue then, which is this idea about using Elk for remote recording studio purposes. Again, that isn't really... It's not really set up for that at the moment. You'd imagine might be that, like if we were to look around this interface, that there might be some global records that will record the session. There isn't anything like that set up just yet. And something to bear in mind, when I was mentioning engineer setup, if we were to look in the mixer, this mix is really for, the mixer is for your own your own monitoring purposes.
Yes.
In order to facilitate a front of house mix that the audience hear, that's what this engineer mode, I don't know if it's going to be called that, but something like that, where you get somebody who can actually then adjust all of the levels for a streaming thing. But whilst I'm on this page, though, we can see that on Robin's page here, we've got a buffer setting, so we can adjust that. I'm running it at 8, which I think it defaulted to, and that seems to be okay. But if you are having a little bit of glitches and a few issues, then you can try increasing the buffer. Now, if we had other people in this jam, we'd be able to adjust their buffers independently too, to try and increase the quality if you're having dropouts.
We have experienced a couple of sort of it's sort of like digital noise. It's like CPU skipping type issues from time to time.
Although today it's been pretty good. We did have an issue with the video camera sort of acting up a little bit, but by and large, the actual music experience has been pretty solid today.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I mentioned, just like looking at the interface itself, it's simplicity itself, and they should be commended for that. For this potentially complicated thing, this front end is quite simple, and because it's browser based, you can essentially open this in anything that's on your home network.
Yeah, they said that they don't have an app like a phone app would be a useful step at this juncture, but no, not at the moment. But that would be another thing that could be along the way.
Yeah. And also another thing that isn't currently implemented is a MIDI. There are MIDI ports on the Elk box, and at some point in the future, MIDI will, I think pretty soon, hopefully, MIDI will become a feature. Now that'll be great then, because that'll allow for a whole load of things to do with synchronizing. If I had, like, say, a drum machine and you wanted to maybe synchronize your effects unit so your delays are all synchronized to my drum machine, we could be sharing that.
I mean, a central clock would be one possibility, wouldn't it? So you have so it's that our app, or the software is generating a clock that we can all sync to via MIDI. Yeah, that's certainly one way of doing it, or sending yours over the internet to me.
Yeah. Now we've come up with a little way of synchronizing that we'll do shortly, where
because we're crazy.
But we found a way of making our modulars work by using one of our 2 channels to send a gate signal through. So we'll set that up in a bit, and then we'll show you that in action. The box could be connected to a computer and function as an audio interface. I think that's right, isn't it, Robin?
Yeah, I think so, but it would then, you might start experiencing the sort of latency you get through a computer. I mean, part of the beauty of it is that it bypasses your computer. I mean, I'm recording the output of the Elk into my computer, into my normal audio interface, but not monitoring it. I'm monitoring directly through the Elk, so I get the low latency. But you are able to record just by physically plugging these things together.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, then any inherent latency within your computer would be passed on to that then.
But they did say that theoretically you could use software instruments in your DAW with it connected via USB, and then it would work more or less. You've just got to take into account the computer latency.
Yeah. Okay. So, but I mean, the fact that we're actually able to do this is superb. I mean, it's a shame it wasn't a few years ago when we were in lockdown. That would have been really helpful. I mean, we don't quite know what the future holds for us, but having experienced a kind of lockdown, knowing then that there is a system that can allow us to play music together remotely is kind of pretty nice. But yeah, let's play some more music.
Okay.
I'm gonna try and clean up my guitar sound a bit. We should sing a song. So, I mean, I suppose for musicians to get used to working this way, maybe the lockdown has kind of got average people more into using video communication. A lot of people were quite reticent to do that. So perhaps now this idea of webcam to webcam, peer-to-peer kind of communication is a lot less daunting for people, perhaps. So
I mean, when you're talking about the simplicity of the interface, I think that's quite key, because it needs to be simple enough for musicians to understand. I mean, I know we're all technology wizards, but we also just want to be able to plug it in, set a level, and then start playing together. That has to be that straightforward.
Yeah. And, I guess that's the thing with this Elk system. You could be, no computer. I mean, I've got it coming through a mixer and various things like that, but headphones straight into the little yellow box, guitar, microphone straight into the yellow box, no computer in sight. Well, you need a computer, don't you, for the communication side of things. But essentially, once the session is configured, you could close your laptop, couldn't you?
Yeah.
The laptop isn't the session itself. Once the session is made, or is it? Actually, I don't know. I might be wrong about that.
Yeah, it's definitely run by the web browser. I mean, we've had the odd crash where we've had to close the browser and that stops the session, and so it's all run there.
Yeah.
I mean, although, it's because you go to this studio.elk.live, I think it is, and it's that is making the communication between the two boxes, or at least turning them on to each other.
Yeah.
Because it can't go through the web, can it? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. I suppose the point I was just trying to make, though, is that it isn't dependent at all on your computer. But,
that's right.
Let's make up a song, Robin. Let's make up a song. Have you got any chords for me? And then I'll come up with some words. Nice. I'm gonna sing a song about my little yellow box. My little yellow box. It brings me out in chicken pox. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. But I suppose the thing that's really cool is the fact that we're making music. And we could actually be in the nude.
We could.
Thankfully, we're not. But in terms of, being able to, being in your dressing gown, or just, just turn your webcam off. happening.
It is, yeah. We're here, right? We're right.
Yeah.
We're proper light jamming and that.
Yeah, yeah. And I think just a little quiet little noodle thing there was just making me think, oh, this is cool. It feels like being able to play with someone directly with you in the room.
Yeah.
It's most odd. So for in that way, the Elk is, well, it's probably the only system that can really do that I'm aware of. I know there are a few other protocols that facilitate something similar, but nothing quite this fast. And I my reticence to fully recommend it really is in that there's quite a high price to invest into getting it set up, but for some people it's going to be the only solution, I guess. But something we should mention though is it also does necessitate that you do have to have a good internet connection.
Yes.
If you don't have a good internet connection, it can't help you. It's going, so the ping and the your upload and download speeds are really going to affect just how smooth this experience is.
Yeah, I mean you're on super fast, I think, where you are, aren't you?
Yeah.
I'm not, but I'm on like 40 down, 10 up.
Yeah.
Kind of regular fast
Fairly,
broadband, and it is holding it together.
Yeah. Now,
And I'm out in the sticks as well, aren't I?
that's true. And 250 miles away. Let's not forget.
Let's not forget.
But you can adjust a few things to help you. For instance, the bandwidth that this webcam communication is taking up, you could turn a camera off and then that would free up some. And also then, as we saw, there's a few settings like reducing the buffers or changing the quality of the sound could help as well.
Yeah.
But this seems to be working quite well. We've been online now for a couple of hours and it's working really nicely.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
So I think there's a definite roadmap then, as we mentioned and alluded to. There's various functions which are currently not available that will be coming out. We don't know when.
We don't know. I mean, the thing with that is that I feel a little bit is that when we've been talking to Elk for probably 6 months, we had a first conversation with them about it, and nothing has really changed. There's been little tweaks to the web interface, but we're still waiting on the extra inputs and the MIDI and the this and that, and it's a slow road, I suppose, and it feels that it would be, as you said before, be better value for money if a few more of these features came online.
Yeah. But it's probably a bit of a chicken and an egg for them.
It
They're
is,
going to
yeah.
need a certain amount of people to be invested into the platform in order to, bankroll everything, I suppose.
Yeah.
In certain cases, this could in fact save money, couldn't it? If you're like in the for me and you, the distance 250 miles away, fuel costs now, especially now, is going to be quite considerable. So there are ways of kind of balancing maybe the investment against what it actually can bring. But as I mentioned, if you are seeing this and thinking, wow, this would be brilliant for doing your live streams, bear in mind that it would require quite a bit of extra kit and know-how to make that happen.
Yeah, I mean, similarly, we're talking about collaborative recording, as you mentioned this earlier. Although the sound quality is good, but you're not going to get the same. I mean, I guess you'd be recording locally, but it's not really designed for that Persona Sphere or Pro Tools collaboration system. It's not really that, is it? It's much more for this raw musical interaction of jamming and making music, as opposed to a sound engineering and recording system.
Perfectly put, yeah, exactly. I can imagine where it would be amazing, though, is if you work with a songwriter. Then I think this would be like a brilliant system. So, especially with just like maybe just two of you. Now, we've only done sessions with just two of us on here, so I can't really vouch for what it must be like with lots of people, or like up to 5 people. I do believe that 5 number could increase in the future as well, but I'm not sure exactly how much how much the extra data that would entail.
Right, we're back. Part 2 of this thing is to try to get our modulars to talk to each other. Now, Elk isn't designed with this particularly in mind. It has MIDI built into it that's not yet functional, and that, in the end of the day, should provide some form of sync if it ever gets off the ground. But we thought, why can't we send an audio pulse from one system to the other using the very low latency and use that as the sync source? We've got 2 channels, we can do that. So that's what we're going to try to do. So Gaz is going to pump out just a straightforward gate trigger type pulse, a clock. That clock's going to go down one of his input channels, and it's going to come out of one side of my Elk. So I'm not going to be able to record in stereo like I am at the moment. I'm going to lose one of my output channels because that's going to be plugged in to here as my clock. Now, that would seem simple enough, but we couldn't get that to work exactly as we hoped. So it just wouldn't keep it. It would spurt and then it would go, and then it would spurt and then it would drop it, and then so on and so forth. So we felt that we had to try to do something to improve the stability of that clock. So what I did is I plugged it into the instrument interface, which I've got over here from Bafaco, and that is essentially an envelope follower. So we plug in the pulse, we extract a trigger from it, and that seemed to be a much more stable way of doing it. And then hopefully I'll get enough of a steady clock for us to play something in sync. It could work. I mean, there's a slight downside in that I'll only be hearing one channel of his modular, but then, that's all right, mono's okay. And also I won't be able to record it in stereo because I'll be getting the click on one side. But at Gaz's end, he'll get all of mine plus all of his through his own system. Because we're using the channels for audio from the modular, we've got no microphone, or microphone input. So instead, what I'm doing is I'm taking the output of my modular through a little mixer I've got down here, plugging my mic into that mixer so that all of mine goes through there. The trick is going to be for Gaz to isolate his click on the other side so that I don't get his click plus other stuff on one channel. See what I mean? So there's a fair bit of shenanigans required to get all this to work, but this is kind of a workaround in how can technology obsessed musicians get their modulars running together, and is this a viable way to have 2 people opposite ends of the country sit down with their modular synths and jam? We think it might be. If there was MIDI sync, if there was a few more audio channels, it would make that much simpler. But we're just showing what we think can be done at this time. So Gaz's end, he's sending me his modular signal plus a clock on 2 channels, left and right, which we can see on the screen down here. The clock then I'm routing directly out of the back of the Elk on this black cable, and that is plugging into the Bafaco instrument interface here. Then with some careful calibration of these settings here, 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 here and here, it then produces a fabulous clock. I mean, it should just be a clock without this module. However, we found that just doesn't work. It's not reliable. So using this, I'm taking the pulse which is coming from Gaz and sort of refining it and finding a nice straight pure trigger, which is then going into my clock divider over here. And from there I can clock the rest of my system, and Gaz is in charge of all that. It's a beautiful thing. That's very odd, because this is not... How is that? What did I do?
Yeah,
Okay. No, but
that.
then I can't hear anything at all. Okay, if I do that,
Yeah.
but I'm still picking up that clock. So that clock's now being recorded along with my voice.
So can you see a left and a right coming from me?
Yeah.
And they appear to be. Are they separate?
Oh, it's gone. I think the panning just decided it wasn't anymore.
Okay.
So I've repanned it, even though it said it was fully right,
Yeah.
and now it's back again.
Okay. All right. Good to know. So that's
1,
something.
2. I'm getting a little bit of a delay. Oh, that's better. That's better. Come on, you know what you're doing, for God's sake.
Right, so if I got all my sounds turned off, but if I press start, so I got it on here on the Pamela's new workout nestled in here, then the big yellow button there will start everything going. So I'll get the clock going, but I've got no sound coming here. So Robin, you should be seeing. Here we go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my rate of the clock that I'm sending you using the PAMs. Hey, I tell you what's interesting about this. You feel it change as I'm changing the speed. I hear the change instantly as I turn it. That's quite an interesting measurement of.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's quite fun. I can choose what speed Robin do I fancy for my groove. Let's try it fast Robin. And we're off. All these different sort of subdivisions. That might be quite funky. Let's switch in my drums. So it's locked. It's locked. Press the yellow button.
Do it.
So you hear the mysterious cosmic wheels grinding. Is that? Hang on. And there they go. So that's fun, isn't it? That's actually proper jamming, and it's working.
It is.
That's a lot of fun. And like initially there, we were like going from a testing thing to actually starting to jam and have fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as you can see, that was really working well with a with a gate to link up the two systems. it would have been really nice if they'd have put something like that into the box itself. Like if they'd have put an audio sync input. Imagine that, Robin, on the Elk box. If you had that, an audio in and out gate.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, for the Elk Mark II. Think about that, Elk people. However, that was fun, wasn't it? We were playing music together then, and it feels really good. It doesn't feel in any way unsynced.
No. The only problems you got is the usual problems with trying to jam together with Modular, which is like, what the heck am I doing, and what's he doing, and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, we'll have a little play out and have another little jam that we'll stick on the end of here. But just closing thoughts then, Robin. It's when you use this, it's undeniably fun and it absolutely works. And we can both attest to that, can't we?
Yeah, undoubtedly.
It is expensive. How do you tackle that side of it?
It has to come down to how often you use it. I mean, if you're someone who's doing this all the time, then it makes a lot of sense. I kind of feel, I mean, it's like with me and you trying to get together to actually do this has been a challenge because we're busy people. We're doing this, that, and the other.
Yes.
And so when you come back to plug it in, I've got to find it. It's dropped down the side of my cabinet. I've got to plug it back in and work that back out again. So if it's an occasional thing, I think it can be quite hard work. To maintain that, and then there's the cost, and you're going to see it come up every month. It's another 10-15 quid or whatever, and I haven't used it this month.
Yeah.
So, and also because it's reliant on somebody else, you feel doubly aggrieved because it's like, well, I'm here every day, but none of the people I want to jam with are available.
Yes, so yes, so those bandmate problems don't sort of magically kind of get repaired with this system.
No.
However, it does do what it's setting out to do in principle, isn't it? That it's facilitating real-time music performance over the internet. The features that they have got promised, for me, would change its value.
Yes, yeah.
And I think that right now, I think you have to have a very specific need for it to be, for me to fully recommend it. I mean, it works. We've proved that it works, and it works really well. But you mentioned certain things there about like the logistics of making this happen. As we move in further into the 21st century, who knows what might happen? Maybe travel does become less, less easy. Things maybe change in the future, meaning that this kind of technology becomes essential for creative experience.
Yeah.
Sorry to get a little bit philosophically gloomy there, but it works, and it works really, really well. Yeah. If you can afford it, go for it. If you would see it being part of your workflow and regular, as you mentioned, then go for it. I think everybody else, sit tight, keep an eye on the developments. We'll hopefully get back together and make something in the future when these upgrades appear, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because I think, I would definitely reappraise my feeling of it. I feel bad to criticize it in a way when they've done such a good job. And so the criticism isn't so much aimed at the product. It's more just, it's the combination of a reasonably large upfront investment and then a monthly subscription for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a hard one to swallow, although we are getting more familiar with subscription services on our audio equipment these days. I mean, you could drop a couple of Waves plugins or something and then it might pay for itself, but I don't know. It really comes down to your use case scenario. It's what you're doing, whether you can see the value of it. I mean, I've also thought about, or we talked to them about, could they do some simpler boxes which are somehow cheaper, just one in and out or something, so that you could buy a few and mail them out to your mates in some kind of, I don't know. Trying to find a slightly simple.
I would think that a good thing for them to do is to give maybe, I mean, it'd probably be too expensive for them to do that, but to give you a year's use. When you buy it, you get a year's license, or at least 6-month license. Ooh, what's that?
Something's coming through.
Something's coming through. Is that from me or from you? That's from you.
Well, something's coming from you, but it's triggering things at my end.
Ah! Oh, what's that? That's some gate leakage.
Oh, see, look, it's picked up the voice again. I'm gonna have to go and repan things. Now, this is something that happened a couple of times. We couldn't quite work out. Is that I had to go and repan all of the channels in the mixer because it was bleeding from one to another.
Ah.
It's almost like the settings from the web thing don't quite stick. So now it's gone away because I've repanned everything.
Yeah, no MIDI connected to it? No, because there's no MIDI working yet. No.
It's just a bit of weirdness.
Bit of weirdness. Well, hey, speaking of a bit of weirdness,
Yes.
fancy making a bit more weirdness?
Yeah, let's give that a go.
All right. So, Robin, thank you so much for taking time out for making this with me. And, well, we're doing this together.
Well, you're welcome.
Yes,
No, coming right back at you, fella.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's been interesting trying to do this, and I wonder what our videos will look like afterwards. And what we should do is that once our videos are out there, we should get together for a bit of a live stream on it, perhaps, to give people a chance to ask questions, and we can do our best to sound intelligent.
Yeah, and actually, if we could do a live jam as well, couldn't we, with an audience? Because we could stream it through this system. But actually, let's just to recap on that before we go. Just to reiterate, really, that if you wanted to use Elk for doing live streams, you would have to consider more than just Elk itself.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. So I'm using Roland Streamer Mixer here and 2 computers to facilitate being able to do this. There's ways you can do it from one system for sure, but I think, again, as mentioned earlier, the thing that they've got new stuff coming, new features that significantly enhance how it could be for more people, I suppose, how you could do more maybe commercial things with it as well, is coming. So watch this space. Well, rather watch this space, or watch this outer space that we create. Thanks, Robin.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.